Sustainable finance basically supports all the pillars and delivery of all these pillars. So this morning we'll be talking about sustainable finance, and this is where it gets a bit tricky, but I'll try not to be technical. So if you look at sustainable finance, what is sustainable finance? The short answer is mobilizing capital for impact. Okay, so you raise funding and you use that funding to invest to support projects or that are looking to contribute towards the ESG journey. So if you look at the graph, so to date, sustainable finance has basically exceeded $6 trillion globally. Just to appreciate the significance of that number, that is two times the GDP of India. If you haven't been to India, I'm sure most of us have been to the UK. That's two times the GDP of the UK. So that's how much we have committed in supporting ESG related projects. Estimates suggest that it will cost about between $3 to $5 trillion a year between now and 2050 to achieve net zero. To put that into perspective, that is the GDP of UK invested annually for 30 years. Every year, taking the GDP of the UK, investing it for 30 years, net zero. You see the labeling at the bottom there. So that basically these are the solutions and products that use to mobilize and deploy sustainable finance solutions. So if you look at 2021 as an example, you just have to work with me there. Our labeling was a bit off, but if you look at the block, the so the bottom block there, the green is green bonds. The second block there read social bonds, and then the third block should read sustainability linked bonds. So green bonds at the bottom, um, social bond followed by social bond, and then sustainability linked loans. This is important to get in a later slide. So you will see that the growth has been quite significant over the years. Mentioned we have now surpassed $6 trillion over these years. Green bonds have always been relevant. You will see that from 2013 they have grown quite significant, green bond. And then sustainability linked loans have also grown, especially in 2021. That is because there is flexibility with sustainability linked loans versus green bonds. That was the driver. But coming to 2022, you'll see that sustainability linked loans actually came off, and the reason for that is that there is increased scrutiny around greenwashing. Regulators are paying more attention to it, and the question around companies setting ambitious targets, coming into the debate. So Standard Bank, um, as a business, this is what we have committed to. So we have committed to spend or mobilize about 250 billion rands between 2022 and 2026 to actually support sustainable or ESG related projects. So currently, if you look on the right hand side there, we have what we call a league table. Standard Bank currently sits at the top of that league table, supported by the projects we have funded today. Okay, this one I'll skip. So, broadly speaking, what are the instruments for sustainable finance? Uh, the core solutions fall into two buckets. Okay, there's what we call performance based, and then there is what is called use of proceeds. So, performance based basically can be used for general corporate purposes. But what you then do is you overlay that with the KPIs that the client is focusing on from a sustainability perspective. So if I have a client in the CPG sector, consumer packaged goods, as an example, I'll pick Coca-Cola, and they come to the bank and they say they're looking for a loan to install a second production line, but they want to be a sustainable finance linked loan. So we can agree what the KPIs are. So the KPIs, we can look at water consumption, we can look at electricity consumption, as some of the KPIs that we can agree with the client, and those get monitored on an annual basis. And the price or the interest rate, the loan gets adjusted down depending on whether the client meets those KPIs or not. So this the first solution, which is performance based, can be used for loans and can be used in the capital market space. The capital market space is slightly different because sometimes, depending on the relevant stock exchange, you may need independent verification upfront. So these type of instruments or solutions, they always require independent verification to obviously mitigate any greenwashing. Because if you can come to the bank and looking at KPIs only to find later that those KPIs are not implemented. And this is how we get into the greenwashing debate. The second bucket is then what we call use of proceeds. So here, for an example, if you raise funding, and the funding is for you to go and develop a solar project, okay? So there, the use of proceeds is prescribed. So you don't have the flexibility that you have with performance-linked instruments. So reporting is quite stringent, and also with use of proceeds, you traditionally you agree the targets upfront, and the pricing benefit is adjusted upfront. However, there is a protection mechanism that is built in because annually you will also be reporting to say you are hitting the targets of the loan is being allocated to that solar project. If it turns out that there's a shortfall or the targets are at risk, we can adjust the interest rate, and the interest rate to basically claw back the benefit we would have given you because you didn't meet the targets upfront. So that is the important distinction between the two. If you look on the second bucket, the green facilities versus social facilities. Let's say you have a developer, a company that builds houses. Okay, they are building affordable